Good morning, 5th grade. We are ready for lesson 145 in math today. We're going to start off this morning with going through some concept cards again. Answer with the answer you think it is, and then I will show you the answer. Answer quickly, and let's get a little practice here. First of all, 1 ton equals how many pounds? 2,000. 1 pound equals how many ounces? 16. 1 bushel equals how many pecks? 4. 1 peck equals how many pints? 8. 1 quart equals how many fluid ounces? 1 quart, 1 pint. 1 pint equals how many fluid ounces? 16. 1 cup equals how many fluid ounces? 8. 1 tablespoon equals how many teaspoons? 3. 1 pint equals how many cups? 2. 1 gallon equals how many quarts? 4. 1 quart equals how many pints? 2. 1 decameter equals how many meters? 10. 1 hectometer equals how many meters? 100. 1 kilometer equals how many meters? 1,000. 1 meter equals how many millimeters? 1,000. 1 meter equals how many centimeters? 100. 1 meter equals how many decimeters? 10. 1 mile equals how many yards? 1,760, and 1 mile equals how many feet? 5,280. So yesterday we talked about square units. How when we're finding area, remember area measures the surface of a shape. So to find area, we're finding how many squares are on the surface, whether it's square feet or square inches or square yards, and we call that square units, okay? So when we measure area, we measure the inside of something with what we call square units. Now, if we would take every shape that we want to measure and divide it into square units to measure it, that would take a lot of time. But one way that we can find square units much easier is to take the length of our shape and multiply it by the width of our shape. And that will tell you the square units without you having to count each individual one. Notice this shape, if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 square units. But you can also just go 4, which is the length, and multiply it by 3, which is the width. And that will give you 12. That will give you the same answer much more quickly. So our formula for finding the area of a shape is A equals length times width. Length times width. And that's because as long as we do that, that's still giving us our square units, okay? So whenever we have a shape of a rectangle, we're going to go A equals length times width, and that will tell you the area. That will tell you how many square units are on the surface of your shape. Always write the formula before you do your problem. A equals length times width. First of all, we have a rectangle with a length of 12 feet and a width of 7 feet. So let's find the area. A equals 12 times 7. What is 12 times 7? 12 times 7 is 84. A equals 84. Now remember, we need to write our unit. It is feet. So, but because it is area, we should not just write feet because we're not just measuring the length. We're measuring square feet. Okay? So this would be 84 square feet. okay? Our first shape is 84 square feet. Let's do our second shape. Our second shape has a length of 6.5 yards and a width of 2.9 yards. We want to find the area, so we're going to go length times width. A equals 6.5 times 2.9, okay? So let's work this, let's just get rid of this here so we have a little bit more room. 6.5 times 2.9. Multiply, 5 times 9 is 45. 9 times 6 plus 4 is 58. And I'm running out of room again. We have 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 2 plus 1 is 13. And let's go ahead and add here. My getting a little bit tight and sloppy here. 5, 8, 8, and 1. We have 2 decimal places. So the area of the second rectangle that we're finding is A equals 18.85, and I believe we had yards, so we have square. It's important to say square because we're measuring the area. So 18.85 square yards. Whenever we find the area of a rectangle, we can do it much more simply by going A equals length times width. Now, we have, just dropped my eraser. We have square feet, square yards, square miles, and acres. So when we're measuring square feet, square yards, acres, square miles, there's some numbers here that we want to remember to work to help us in the future here. So first of all, remember that when you're measuring area, you don't just say feet, you don't just say yards, and you don't just say miles, because you're not just measuring a length. If you say square feet, that means like a square foot instead of just the length 1 foot, okay? Now, when we say acres, we don't have to say square acres, because acres is something that you can't measure just in length. You can't go from this side of a field to that side of a field and it's 1 acre. It's always, whenever you say acre, it always means a square acre. We know that without saying square acre. It means like a large area, not just a length, but an area, okay? So you don't even have to say square acres, you can just say acres. But for the rest, you have to say square foot, square yard, square mile, if that's what you're talking about. Now, if we have, let's pretend that this is a square foot right here. These are some things that we want to remember. So if this is 1 square foot, how many square inches would it be? We know that 1 foot in length is 12 inches in length. But what about if it's a square foot? How many square inches is it? Is it 12 square inches? No. Now this is something that can help you to remember these. A square foot, we know 1 foot is 12 inches, right? Okay. So if this is a square foot, it's 12 inches on this side and 12 inches on this side. So how many square inches this is 12 times 12, 144, okay? So a square foot is 144 square inches. So instead of just saying 1 foot is 12 inches, when we have a square, it's 12 times 12. A square foot is 144 inches. Or if this would be a square yard, and we want to know how many square feet it is, remember a yard is 3 feet. So a square yard is 3 times 3 square feet. So a square yard is 9 square feet, okay? Now an acre is 43,560 square feet. And that we're just going to have to learn from memory. A square mile is 640 acres. And that we're going to have to learn as well, okay? So let's just go through these a little bit just to start getting these in our head. I have some cards here to go through them. So first of all, a square foot is how many square inches? Now remember, it's not 12, it's 12 times 12. So 144. A square yard is how many square feet? And it's not just 3, it's 3 times 3. So that would be 9. An acre is how many square feet? And that is 43,560. And a square mile is how many acres? That is 640. Let's go through them one more time. A square foot is how many square inches? 12 times 12. So 144. A square mile is how many acres? That is 640. An acre is how many square feet? That is 43,560. And a square yard is how many square feet? Not just 3, but 3 times 3. So that is 9. Okay, finding area of a rectangle, A equals length times the width. And the measures you want to learn are in the box at the top of your page. Go over those a little bit. How many square inches are in a square foot? How many square feet are in a square yard? How many square feet are in an acre? And how many acres are in a square mile? Just go over those until you know those a little bit better. Work your lesson carefully. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for listening.